Crimson Trace announces Link, the world's first wireless laser and white light system, combining a green laser and 300 lumen light with instinctive activation for AR-type rifles. Link, smart, simple, secure. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
Well, howdy. Tom Gresham here. Yes, indeed. If you want to get on the air, 866-TALK-GUN or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. It's very easy. Now. We love giving away stuff. You know we do. We're going to give away, what are we going to give away? How about a Springfield Armory XDS pistol? Crimson Trace Laser Guard Pro. Green, of course. A $200 gift certificate to Freedom Munitions to buy ammo. $100 gift certificate to Crossbreed Holsters for a complete carry rig. It's really easy, but there's something you have to do in order to take advantage of this. You have to have Gun Dealio on your smartphone, and you have to have notifications and location services enabled. Then what we're going to do is we're going to send out a notice to everybody who has Gun Dealio and has those things done so that notifications is enabled and location services are enabled. Besides, if you don't have those, then you're not really getting the full benefit of Gun Dealio. You're not getting all the cool messages when you go into a gun store. And then we're going to send out a code, a message that tells you how to enter, and you can enter. But only people who have Gun Dealio and have the notifications and locations enabled are going to get this. This is a great giveaway. Let me just tell you, it's a great giveaway. All right, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in there. One of my favorite places when you're a gun person, one of my favorite places on the planet is the Cody Firearms Museum in Cody, Wyoming. It is an amazing place. And so they're doing some work there. They're having a makeover done. So I thought we would invite the curator, Ashley Hleblinsky, to come in and tell us what's going on. Ashley, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tom. How are you?
Excellent. So tell me what's going on with the museum.
Well, what's going on with the museum? We've got lots of things. I know over the past couple of years we've talked about new exhibitions and publications, but the museum is getting a makeover. And that essentially means that we're going to take everything out of it and put a lot more back in. And we're working on the final design phase of the museum. And really what we're trying to do is, when the museum was opened in 1991, it was state-of-the-art. It was pretty much the best thing you could ever see in terms of guns in history, and it really still is. But we want to be able to kind of bring it up to the 21st century, and so by doing that, we're doing two main things with the new museum. We're putting more guns on display. We currently have about 4,000 of our 7,000 guns on display. Well, I'm looking to get over 5,000 and hopefully even more on display in the new museum. But then we're also going to do a little bit more with interpretation. You know, technology is increasing so much and that you can now do a lot with videos so people can see, you know, they don't have to just look at a matchlock or a wheel lock or a flintlock. They can see videos of how they actually operate. And so it's going to be a encyclopedic display with kind of a combination of a little bit more context, interactivity. People will be able to get hands-on with laser shooting galleries. We're going to have a long-range shooting gallery in the back of the museum with our science center. And so it's really just going to be pretty much as state-of-the-art as you can get for a firearms museum, but still retaining kind of the essence that has made Cody so amazing over the past 25 years.
Give people a sense of the museum. How much square footage, for instance, do you have?
Oh, gosh. Well, the Cody Firearms Museum, as I know we talked about before, is one of 5 museums at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West. And so the entire complex is 40 acres. And the museum framework itself is
40 acres?
We own 40 acres of land, and the building is on about 7 acres. And the Cody Firearms Museum takes about 50,000 square foot of the entire organization. So it's one of the larger museums inside the Buffalo Bill Center of the West.
Now, for people who don't know, your background, you spent several years at the Smithsonian, and so you're pretty up on what's going on with museums. And as you alluded to, there's been a rapid development and I don't know if you call it a growth, but museums have changed. You don't just walk through and look at them now. Now it's about interaction and engagement, right?
Oh, yeah. People want to be able to get hands-on with things, and I think there is literally no better way to teach people about firearms and how they work and proper handling and safety than allowing them to kind of get hands-on and understand, how the guns balance and how much they weigh and really see the actions working. I know that when I first got involved in guns, I read descriptions of, and then, you load powder and wad and projectile and you put powder here and you pull this whirligig move and then it spins and somehow it fires. And you read that and you're like, okay, but I don't really understand exactly how that is. And so this way, people can come into the museum and actually get to work. We're going to have large models so they can work a wheel-lock action, a matchlock action, to really see how that technology has evolved and really improved.
Would it be fair to say that it's actually possible to trace much of history through the study of firearms, at least in the last 400 or 500 years?
Oh, my gosh. History cannot be told without firearms. And our collection is encyclopedic in nature. So our earliest gun is from the 1400s. It's a hand cannon. And our most recent gun was made in 2015. And it's also international in scope. And so in the new museum, we're covering about 8 different thematic areas that'll talk about military history, sporting history, firearms as art, of course, the story of the Old West, firearms as a scientific tool. Pretty much you name it, we have something for you inside that museum. And that's one of the things that's so neat about the Cody Firearms Museum is because we are part of a larger complex, we get a very large population of visitors that have never had an interaction with firearms before. We have a huge international audience, and most people are just on their way to Yellowstone and they swing through the museum. So we have an opportunity to kind of draw them into the Firearms Museum and have them realize just how interconnected and integral firearms are to so many different facets of history. And I hear so often when people come through the museum, they'll say, well, I had no idea that it related to this. And I had no idea that it would relate to me, but I found that you could find ways to relate to firearms in ways that you never thought you could before. And that's an opportunity that's so neat at our museum.
So is it going to be closed for a while you do the remodel?
This is kind of one of my favorite parts. We are probably about another year and a half, 2 years from installation, and the main gallery will be closed. But we are doing that in our off season, so we get about 85% of our visitors May through September. And so in October, we'll be closing the traditional Cody Firearms Museum to reopen before the summer season of the following year. But we are doing a satellite exhibit inside the center where the old Winchester Arms Museum was. And I know you know our history, and we started off at the Winchester Arms Museum. So we're going to recreate the old gun museum inside the center.
Oh, that's very cool. So most people who go through there are not going to miss it at all because they're going to be there when it's open, and then it's got to close for the remodel, and you'll still have some open, and then you reopen it, I guess, 2018 for the full deal, the full reveal.
We are currently planning for an open in 2019.
2019. Okay, I got my years mixed up. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, I tell you what, you let us know when that reopening is because we want to be there.
Oh, for sure. And if anyone hasn't been to the Cody Museum before, I urge you to go now. Go this coming season or even, the start of next season to make sure you can see it how it was in 1991 and then come on back so you can see what we've done.
Ashley Hleblinsky from the Cody Firearms Museum, thank you so much. All right, open lines for you. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
A great trigger can make you a better shooter. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. Installation is easy. Give yourself the Timney Trigger advantage. To see more and order online, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
For 30 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free, yes, a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle combines features of the Ruger American Rifle and innovations of the 1022 Rimfire Rifle to appeal to all bolt-action enthusiasts. It features a modular stock system that provides comb height options for scope or iron sight use, a power bedding integral bedding block system for outstanding accuracy, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, and a 1022 style rotary magazine for reliable feeding. The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
All right, back with you, 866 Talk Gun. Let's see here. I think we got Frank on line 2 out of New Jersey. Frank, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom. Got a question for both of you. I live in this state of hell, and I'm trying to get the Saint. And I went to the gun store, said, get me this. They said, okay. Called me back in a little while and said they can't get it. I said, well, why not? I figured it was out of stock since it's a new item. And they said, it's not New Jersey compliant. And I said, okay. So I called Springfield and asked them, are they going to make one that's New Jersey compliant? They said no. And one of the things that needs to be corrected in the states is the same thing as we're talking about with the carry permits, that they should be just like a driver's license. Guns should be the same thing. What is the difference if a gun has a folding stock or not a folding stock? If it has a front support or it has a scope or it has whatever, it doesn't make a difference in how the gun is going to be used. If it's a bad person that has the gun, it's going to be used badly. If it's a good person, it's going to be used the way it should be, for recreation and sport.
Well, that's all true, Frank. But Frank, let me jump in here, because here's the thing: you need to understand who you're talking to, or who you're talking about. Actually, the gun banners, and I'm talking about elected officials here. There's a video clip that will show you everything you need. It is Tucker Carlson talking to Carolyn McCarthy, and she's pushing a gun ban and assault weapons ban. And he's saying, well, one of the things that the configurations that the gun can't have is a barrel shroud. And he said, what's a barrel shroud? And she says, well, that's really not important, blah, 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 blah. He says, no. What you're saying that we should ban guns that have barrel shrouds. You should know what that is. What's a barrel shroud? And the famous answer is, well, it's a shoulder thing that goes up. So this is who you're trying to convince. Oh, this doesn't mean anything when a stock folds or does not fold. She thinks a little cover around the barrel is a shoulder thing that goes up.
Yeah, we just
There's
had
no
one of the reporters
dealing
here
with
at
that.
local news do the same thing, describing the tragedy down in Florida with the type of gun. Just uninformed people. But that's something that I think that, if we can get Trump to address, and get the states to comply. As you said, right now,
and
it's
that will be in the works. And here's what you do. Here's how you address that, I think. From a legal standpoint, you simply say, look, Heller says you cannot ban guns that are in popular use, that are in common use. These guns are in common use. Therefore, by Supreme Court decision, the state of New Jersey cannot ban these guns. Period, parade, rest, end of story. It's over. You can't do it. That's what has to happen. Now, somebody's going to have to challenge it in court. Somebody's going to have to push it through. But there certainly are people in New Jersey who would do that. But here's the thing. Maybe I'm living in a fantasy world. Can you imagine a U.S. Justice Department that comes into New Jersey and says, you're breaking the law, and we're going to have to enter a consent decree. So therefore, we, the U.S. Department of Justice, will run your gun control operation because you are abridging the civil rights of people who live in your state. And so, see, I can do that. I can come up with that because I've seen them do that over the last 40 years in states in the South, where they say, we're going to take over your education department, education system. We're going to take over this city's police department because you have violated civil rights. Well, you know what? What if we had the U.S. Department of Justice come into the state and say, okay, by restricting access to these guns, which are in common use, and that is the phrase used in the Heller decision in the Supreme Court, you are stripping people of their civil rights. We now are stepping in. We must take control. Now, I realize that's a big lift, but holy cow, Frank, how cool would that be?
That would be wonderful if it can be done.
Don't know if it can be done, but you know what? It's like we always say, you can't do big things until you dream big things. So let's dream big and push for the stars. If we only get halfway there, we're a whole lot further than where we are right now. Frank, thank you for the call. I appreciate that. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. Let's see. Line one, James is in Big Rapids, Michigan. Hey, James. That's not Grand Rapids, huh?
Oh, no, just about an hour north. Hey, Tom,
okay.
I really love the first-person defender on YouTube. I can't watch enough of those and watch them over and over again. My question is, what's your opinion on, say, a church security team and having a standard other than just a CPL to be on that church security team?
I will tell you and it's not going to make some people happy. I think if you have a church security team, they need to train as a team. They need to probably have monthly practice, monthly training sessions after they've had probably an initial, call it 3-day training. Because here's the thing, team tactics is not what you get in concealed carry. You need to learn team tactics. How do I work with you? How do we communicate? Can we shoot and communicate? Can we move and communicate? Can we drag somebody's body while we are shooting and communicating? You notice there's this one common thread in all of that? Communicating. What do we say? What are the words we use? What do they mean? When I say moving, what does that mean? When I stop and say, I'm positioned, what do I say? And then what do you do when you want to move? And what am I supposed to do while you are moving? All this stuff that people are going, what are you talking about? Well, that's what I'm talking about, is that if you don't know these things, you have not taken team tactics. You don't know how to do these. So I think any church security team needs to go through advanced training and have regular practice. And at that point, and I guess the bottom line, James, is that it's a really good idea for churches to have security teams. Are you on one? Are you putting one together?
Organize it and get it more efficient, like you say, as a team and as a unit. But just to be on the team, do you think you should require to meet a certain standard of competency with a firearm other than just the CPL? I'm thinking just for liability,
Yeah, I would say, like I say, I think they should have a 3-day class at least working together and then have monthly training sessions so they know how to work as a team. I mean, that would be probably just an entry level, but I would at least want that.
I guess specifically like a qualification, like to meet air marshal, FBI, police, and law enforcement standards. Just to
I don't know. No, I don't think. No. Look, marksmanship has nothing to do with this. It's not about being able to hit targets. I mean, you have to be somewhat competent there, but that's not what this stuff is about. It's not about, am I a good shot? It's about communicating and talking to each other and moving and shooting and moving people. And how do I move people? What do I say to congregation to get them up and to get them moving? That you need training from somebody who specifically understands how to work with crowds and how to work as a team. That's what you need.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate the call, sir. You take care. Let's see. Lee, line 3, Anderson County, Kentucky. Hello, Lee.
Good afternoon, Tom. I have spoken with the Second Amendment specialist in my congressman's office, and he tells me that the concealed carry reciprocity bills are only licensed reciprocity bills. My Kentucky legal magazines are still illegal. It will still be illegal in New York and California. Kentucky legal ammunition will still be illegal in New Jersey. Kentucky legal pocket knives will still be illegal in Massachusetts. And we actually need to make sure that the reciprocity law covers this before it gets passed, rather than have a bunch of us going around getting arrested for carrying illegal equipment with our legal licenses.
Well, I mean, all of those things are true, and to which I answer, so what? That's not what the law is. It's not supposed to do any of that stuff. Those are other issues. You have to get those changed separately. But a reciprocity law simply means if you have a carry permit, you can carry in any state. It doesn't say if a state has a rule against a particular kind of gun that negates that. It doesn't say if we have a law that bans a particular kind of knife, it negates that. Those are separate things altogether, and those can be dealt with. But a concealed carry reciprocity law doesn't obviate all of the other laws that are in effect. It's kind of like, if we said you can drive 65 here, it doesn't mean you can also turn right on red. I mean, it's two different things. So one thing at a time. Let's get what we can now, and then we'll work our way to more later. But get as much as we can. It's always a good thing. 866 Talk Gun.
Want your opinion to make a difference? Log on to our website and take the Gun Talk poll, www.guntalk.com. Now, once again, opinion page regular contributor for the Washington Times, here's Tom.
All right, back with you. This is an interesting email. A hunter writes in. He says he lives in Pennsylvania. He's 20 years old. He owns a second-generation Kel-Tec Sub 2000. That's a little carbine rifle. He says, I have a 20-year-old friend with a JR carbine chambered in 9mm as well. Both of them are 9mm carbines. He says, we have a lot of trouble buying ammo for our 9mm carbines because it is considered handgun ammo. And you have to be 21 years old to purchase handgun ammo. He says, what can we do to get around this other than hand loading? And why are the laws like this? Well, the laws are stupid. That's why. Why does the government trust us with a rifle but not with ammo? Because the government is stupid. That's why. And the laws are written by people who hate gun owners. Might be a place to get the Trump people to start working on that. Some places you can they have a thing where you can assign, say this is for a rifle and not a handgun. And, of course, there's always online. If your local store won't sell it to you, then just go get it online and it'll be shipped directly to you. Line 2, Brenda's with us out of Portland, Oregon. Brenda, what's going on with your friend here?
Well, hey, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. I have a friend, and we were talking about it the other night, and he's got his house broken into. They took a whole bunch of stuff while he was gone. They backed up the truck, and they took his guns. Well, it turns out the police caught the people, and he got everything returned except his guns, and for some reason he can't seem to get them back. And we were talking about it last night, trying to figure out maybe he should talk to his lawyer. Well, he did that, and the lawyer sort of shrugged his shoulders and said, oh, you just have to ask him and fill out the paperwork. But it's not happening.
Okay, well, let's go through some details. Has he gone down there and filled out the paperwork to get the guns returned?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so what happened? What are they saying to him about why he's not getting his guns?
They just said, oh, we'll let you know. And he keeps going away, and they keep telling him they'll let you know. The person who stole everything actually did time, and they're out. So they've already done everything.
How long have the police had the guns?
I think it's going on 6 months, maybe more. About 6 months.
So the person's already been convicted of the crime, so they don't need the guns for evidence now. Is that correct?
That's correct. Did the time, and they're out.
Huh. And the police acknowledge that these are his guns. It's not a case of can you prove ownership. Is that what's going on?
Nope, they're his guns. Everything's, we just, so we were talking about it last night. Thought I'd call you and see what you thought.
Is this the Portland Police Department?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I got a couple of thoughts on that. Kind of depends on, hiring. First of all, if your lawyer shrugs it off, then you got a lousy lawyer. Then my first inclination, just because of the way I think, is I go to the media and say, hey, my guns have been stolen by the Portland Police Department. Of course, I'm just radical. I'm radical enough to call the ATF and say my guns have been stolen and I know who has them.
Huh. Okay.
But I'm not sure you make a lot of friends doing that. But you might get your guns back. You know what? It's that old deal. If somebody's sitting there thinking, don't worry about it. Now, the other thing is, has he seen the guns? Has he said, I would like to at least see them?
Oh, he has not. And, these are pretty, I guess they're really old, beautiful guns. He's a collector. So he's worried that they're going to be gone.
He needs to see the guns. There are two thoughts here. One is they may be stored incorrectly and poorly and begin damaged. And the other, and I hesitate to say this because people are going to go, I can't believe you're saying this about police. They may be in somebody's house.
Oh.
It would not be the first time that's happened. They may not actually be there, and somebody's simply stonewalling because they don't want to give them back.
Oh, so how do they get them back?
Well, one, you could get a good lawyer, you need a junkyard dog lawyer. But again, what's it worth? Is it worth spending $5,000? Because that's kind of the cost of admission on the deal, to get a good lawyer to raise a stink on it. Another is to go to the media. And sometimes the local media would love to get a story about, here's an honest person who had their stuff stolen and they can't get it back from the police. And they'll do one of those expose stories. Those sometimes can shake the tree. The last thing I would think I would be contact the Second Amendment Foundation in Bellevue, Washington. And my guess is that they would be interested in taking this on as a case and see what they could do with it.
Wow. What would they do?
File a suit.
Oh, I see.
They have lawyers. They have a lawyer on staff. They'll just file the lawsuit, file the application, and say, okay, here's the deal. Let's go before the court, and you tell the court why you're not giving this man his property back. Good question. So, does he have an inventory of the property, of the guns, all of that? So the police and he agree on the inventory.
Oh yeah, and he got everything back but the guns.
Okay,
and
yeah. There's something.
Apparently, that's what convicted the individual.
Okay. He needs to get moving quickly on this. Stuff evaporates, it goes away, and I would suggest that he get moving pretty quickly to get moving on this. So I would probably go find I guarantee you there is a television station around there who has an investigative reporter who just might like to do something with that. I just think that's might be my first bet on that, is saying, okay, how do I get a reporter to jump all over this thing and move on it? So I think that's what I would do first, then maybe go to the Second Amendment Foundation. Again, it's saf.org, and they're in Bellevue, Washington. I wish you tons of luck with it. I appreciate that. 866-TALK-GUN. You have any thoughts on how this person can get the police to shake free of those guns? Give me a holler, 866-TALK-GUN.
There's only one place where you can buy that firearm you've always wanted and turn it into your very own. That place is Brownells.com. Now offering a huge selection of firearms from all your favorite brands. Brownells is the spot to buy online. When you're choosing your gun, be sure to look over the enormous selection of parts, accessories, ammo, and more to make that firearm your masterpiece. Brownells.com. Serious about firearms.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
Crimson Trace announces the revolutionary Link, the world's first wireless laser and white light system. Combining a green laser at 300 lumen light with instinctive activation for AR-type modern sporting rifles. Link offers wireless control of the laser and light from the ergonomic replacement grip, eliminating the need to reach for the rifle's forend. Link. Smart, simple, secure. Available now. Visit crimsontrace.com to find a dealer near you.
All right, this is from my friend Jeff. Fascinating. He says, your chances of encountering a potentially dangerous criminal involved in a violent crime are about 1 in 100 per year. That is so much higher than I thought it would be. 1 in 100 per year. That's according to the U.S. Department of Justice. It says the duration of the average interaction with a criminal during a violent crime is about 90 seconds. And the average urban police response time in the U.S. is about 11 minutes. So your encounter with the violent criminal will be 90 seconds. The response time will be 660 seconds, or about 9.5 to 11 minutes too late, as Jeff puts it. Fascinating. Line 3, Joel, way up in Anchorage, Alaska. Joel, what do you think this guy ought to do to help get his guns back from the police?
Well, I had a little problem. It was a burglary. They caught the guy a few days later. What really provoked the local police is when I went down with photographs that I had on film in my safe deposit box showing the gun, a 3x5 card with a make, model, and serial number on it, and a picture of my ID in the same picture. My guns were returned almost immediately. That way
what was
they
going
don't
on before
end up
that?
in the so-called police evidence room, and hopefully I'll quit asking and they disappear.
Well, were you having trouble getting the guns until you showed up with that?
I got the runaround.
Got the runaround.
This was a number of years ago. And I don't think the police department's changed that much. The problem is this guy was caught burglarizing another man's home. He came home, was tied up with a phone call, and held at gunpoint by his own gun. The local district attorney's office said, he broke probation, so they just sent him back to Oregon. He had broke into about 5 or 6 homes here, loot, and everything else went out the door. And they just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, we'll send him back to Oregon because he violated his parole.
Wow. So, but you couldn't get your guns back until they were giving you the runaround until you showed up with the pictures, the information on the serial number, and all of that you document. So I guess you have probably spent a lot of time telling your friends, make sure you take pictures of your guns and get all that and keep it in a separate place.
I have mentioned it numerous times, and now we're going national. And it's real simple. Just set up a camera, white background, so the gun shows up bright and clear, and take pictures of it. When I first did this, it was 35 millimeter film. I've done it again with digital, and it's all on CD discs in the safe deposit box across town.
Okay, good to know. Appreciate that. Let's see. I had somebody called in, and they offer this thought. Said and this is for Brenda, for your friend. Said on getting your gun back from the Portland Police Department. Said contact the Oregon Firearms Federation. Talk with Kevin there. Kevin will help. And I've seen Kevin at work. He is a junkyard dog when it comes to getting this stuff done. He is a guy that I would sick on him for sure. So contact the Oregon Firearms Federation. Talk with Kevin. That is a really good idea. Paul's on line 1 out of Minnesota. Paul, the Florida airport shooting. What do you think?
You had a caller earlier in your show from Alaska that was saying that the airports in Florida were a gun-free zone. I think what he was getting at was the fact that shooter decided to do it there in Florida because he knew that the state law was gun-free zone in airports, and he knew no one would have a gun.
Huh. What makes you think
he
that?
He passed through Minnesota too. He went into the Minneapolis airport. So I think that's what he was doing. Just like any other shooter.
Okay, now that's an interesting take. I did not catch that from that other caller, but that's an interesting take on it. You think this guy went to Florida specifically because they have a law that says you can't conceal carry into the airport, even into the baggage area, so he felt as though there would be less of a chance of a good guy being armed there.
Right, because he did say there were 6 states that were like that, so that was my take on that.
Well, I wonder, here's a question for you. If that's the case, I would think if they're talking to him, they're going to figure this thing out. I wonder if the police, FBI will release that motivation to the media. What do you think?
No, I don't think they will.
You're like me. I don't think they will either. I don't think they'll ever say he chose this because it was a so-called gun-free zone. In other words, gun-free zones make people less safe and put them at more risk. Probably we will not be hearing that, but that's very interesting. Yeah, the caller, if that was what he was trying to get to, he never got there. So I appreciate you filling me in on that. That's a very interesting take on that. I appreciate that call. Let's see. Steve, line 3. He's in Reno. Steve, help us out here.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
With regard to your female caller who has an issue with getting her firearms out of the Portland Police Department, a good idea for her is to actually start with the public prosecutor's office, the district attorney or state's attorney, whichever one is referred to as in Oregon. If all of the appeals of the adjudicated case, meaning if the person that was convicted has had all of their options for appeals are exhausted, she needs to get the release issued from the state's attorney's office. Law enforcement won't release anything until the prosecutor has said it's no longer necessary for evidence for any subsequent appeals. So the better place for her to start is actually with the DA's office that prosecuted the criminal.
I get you. Because what you're saying is if there's a chance of there being an appeal and they could end up in court again, they still want to hold on to the evidence. So you need to find out if that's no longer the case and then proceed from there. That makes all the sense in the world. I appreciate that, Steve. Good idea. Talk to the public prosecutor, the DEA, whoever the prosecutor is, find out, is this case closed? I mean, is it ever going to be appealed? Is that why, these guns are being held? And then get an evidence release and take that back to the police and say, okay, the DA, the prosecutor says there's no reason. He doesn't need this. She doesn't need this. There's no reason to hold on to these guns. I need these guns back now. I've got the truck with me. We can put them in there right now. I got a friend who'll let me load them up. Let's do it today. Let's do it right now. Oh, yeah, we got the reporter. We got the TV crew with us. Did I mention the TV crew that's with us right here? Oh, yeah, I did. I brought them too. Sometimes that changes things. As we have entered 2017, in Congress, the Knife Owners Protection Act of 2017, COPA, K-O-P-A, now it includes the repeal of the archaic 1958 Federal Switchblade Act. And it has been introduced into the House of Representatives by Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona. What it's going to do is remove a lot of these nutty knife laws around the country where you can't have an automatic knife, you can't have something of this length or not. The problem is, as you go through this patchwork of laws as you travel around, your pocket knife may or may not be legal, and you really almost have no way of knowing. So a Knife Owners Protection Act was a good thing. Let's see if we can get this thing passed. Oh, by the way, that's weird, but I like it, I think. John Ross, he wrote a book, 25 years ago now, something like that, called Unintended Consequences. It's there's a great 500-word novel or 500-page novel in the middle of that 900-page novel, but it's still a fascinating book, and it's become a cult classic, Unintended Consequences. He has volunteered, John Ross has, to be the director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives for an annual salary of $1. Go, John. I don't know that I would do it for that. In fact, I don't know that I would do it for anything. Although it might be fun. Wouldn't it be fun if you were the director of the ATF to call in the heads and say, all right, here's the deal, guys. It's going to be real simple. Leave honest gun owners alone. Leave honest gun store owners alone. Your job is to promote safe, responsible gun ownership, and where you find bad guys, go get them. Oh yeah, you can investigate, bombings and things like that from the explosive side of things, but leave honest gun owners alone, and you have no role in gun control whatsoever. Anybody found violating this decree will be fired on the spot. Civil service, talk to the hand, don't care. You can sue me all you want to. It doesn't matter. I got the government behind me. You'll lose. Real simple. Either get on board or get off. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Maybe we'll have a director of ATF. We haven't had one in quite a while. I'm not sure about that. Question for you. Here's a question on the floor. I keep hearing people say, well, now that Trump has been elected, gun sales are going to go down and the gun companies are going to get hurt. I keep listening to that and going, you people don't know what you're talking about. You really don't. In my view, more people are buying more guns because more people are getting into guns. We have these country clubs around the country where they've become a place where you go for a date night to a shooting range. They're that upscale. They're that cool. You have 20-somethings getting into guns, and they're not a word about somebody taking away their gun rights. They just think guns are cool. And they're shooting guns and they're buying guns. And you have people of all ages buying guns for self-defense and then finding out, hey, this is fun. Honey, we should do this more. Or maybe she says, honey, I'm going to the ladies' league Thursday nights or ladies' night at the local shooting range. I think gun sales are going to continue to go up in the future. I don't think it's a fear factor that has driven gun sales very much over the last couple of years. I know people say, oh, Obama drove gun sales. Yeah, maybe some, a little. I really don't think that's what's going on. So that's my question for you. Are you going to stop buying guns? Are you just going to say, got enough, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm just going to look at the ones in the safe, have no need, no interest to get another gun? Not likely. That's not going to happen. The only gun I want is the next gun. I don't know what it is, but I know I want it. 866-TALK-GUN. What are your gun buying plans for 2017?